Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, two players who have been connected since the U19 World Cup final where France fell to the USA, then facing off for the Rookie of the Year award where Victor Wembanyama pulled it out, battling each other in the West as OKC rose to the ranks of the top seed, and year by year, the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama slowly creeped up after them until they finally each became the top two dogs in the West and faced off in the Western Conference Finals. Two 7-foot-plus players that people considered unicorns. Now, I truly never understood this comparison. To me, it seems like Victor Wembanyama is and has always been on a completely different scale than Chet Holmgren. But as you may or may not know, I'm not the biggest Thunder fan. So I thought to myself, maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm looking at this with a biased lens. So I went back to the very beginning where they were both just young boys getting ice cream off the ice cream truck, all the way through their entire NBA careers, every single matchup they've had, to see what this matchup truly looks like from an unbiased perspective. Okay, we're starting with the U19 FIBA game in the World Cup in Latvia. I believe this is their first matchup. If someone has footage of them playing in the 4th grade off the iPhone 2, please let me know. So we start off with Chet on the fast break, getting the open dunk. I'm gonna try to focus only on the Wembanyama versus Chet matchup specifically in this, but there wasn't too many in this first video, so I kind of just showed their overall highlights. Following that, Wemby gets a little distracted and leaves Chet open. He gets a late contest in, but Chet still knocks it down. Couple possessions later, Wemby catches it in the post and gets him with a little up and under move. Then Wemby crashes the boards off a miss and just yams it all over Chet. The next play again, Wemby slips the screen, just gets a wide open alley-oop. God, I mean, Wemby looks like he's about 13 right here. Not on Chet, but just a dirty move by Wemby, a little drop step, pump fake into the 4-point play. Next possession, he hits a 3. He yams on Chet again off the putback. Chet comes back and finishes with the left. And that was kind of it for this one. Just too much talent for Francais. But I did want to show one more highlight, one more little Easter egg that I came across. No, your ears and eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, that is Jaden Ivey.
Is that you, Obito?
Just funny that I saw him in this game, so wanted to mention that. The US wins by 2. Chet has 10 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. On the other side, Wemby has 22 points, 8 rebounds, 0 assists, but 8 blocks. From there, we go on to see their first NBA career matchup where they face off in the in-season tournament. Early on in the first quarter, Chet goes for the steal and misses. Wemby goes behind the back, a little Euro step, and then finishes with the dunk. I wanted to include this next clip because even the commentator acknowledges the Wemby-Chet matchup.
The attention tonight is on Chet Holmgren versus Victor Wembanyama.
But as you can see, this game isn't really close. The last highlight here is Wemby blocking Chet in the same way that you might take candy from a baby. But yeah, Thunder win this one in a blowout. This was the year that Pop was running Sohan at point guard, so Spurs never really had a chance in this one. Thunder win 123-87. Chet goes for 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Pretty bad shooting splits. Wemby goes for 8 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Both play pretty mediocre in this one. Now there's a lot more to see in this second matchup.
Holmgren and Wembanyama, a couple of players that will be inextricably connected for the rest of their respective careers.
Again, the commentator talking about how they're inextricably connected for the rest of their careers. And if that's true, we all should send some nice words to Chet just to keep his spirits up. Maybe we go comment on one of his fit pics and just tell him he's looking sharp today. Because based on how things have been going so far, it's going to be a long road for Chet. We follow a Jalen Williams 3 with Wemby literally just isoing and taking Chet to the rim. But Chet answers with his own 3-pointer. Chet takes Sohan to the rim. Wemby pump fakes the help defense but doesn't commit, and Chet gets the and one. The very next play, Wemby catches it in the post on Dort, spins into Chet, and just finishes on him effortlessly. This is a trend that you'll see, where Chet will do something good, and then some type of demonic spirit just overcomes Wembanyama, where he needs to overcome and cancel the good thing that Chet just did by doing something good himself. Next play, Wemby switches the screen, but this time fully commits and gets back in time to swat Chet. Then again on the fast break, Wemby catches it. Chet gets back in time, but Wemby just finishes like he's not even there. And then on this one, Wemby catches it at the free throw line, doesn't even dribble, and just dunks over Chet. Just too big, too strong. On the next one, Wemby helps down, but is late getting back to Chet, who knocks down a 3. I'm telling you, Wemby does not want to see this man win, because the very next possession, he goes right into his chest and dunks on him. Then Chet follows up, steals the entry pass, takes it coast to coast, and finishes on the other end. But again, I mean, you see the record. Spurs are 8-35, Thunder 30-13. They lose by almost 30 points. Chet puts up 17, 9, and 4. with 3 blocks. Wemby puts up 24, 12, and 4 with 4 blocks. In the next one, we get Wemby and Chet getting the cover image for their matchup. Strong start for Chet in this one. He grabs the rebound, runs the floor, and pops a 3 in Wemby's face. Then he drives in on Champagnie and switches to the left to avoid getting blocked by Wemby. So kind of random intermission here. Brandon gets swatted. Wemby gets the rebound and kicks it back out to Seti Osman. What happened to Seti? I remember he used to train with LeBron in the summer. He must be a dog in the Turkish league these days. Next play, Wemby gets put in the pick and roll, and Chet somehow gets up and kind of taps it in over him. Very next play, Wemby goes at him, backs him down, and kind of hits a little scoop shot. He's just unable to let the man have a second of success. Live from the future here, Chet puts a couple moves on Wemby, give and go with Jalen Williams, and then finishes with the alley-oop. The exact next possession, Wemby gets it off this janky pin down, and it's straight cash. Then Chet goes at him, hits him with a couple spins, and gets this little underneath scoop shot to go.
How many times are you going to see that? Guy 7'2" or 3, putting it underneath the arm of the defense. And then Vic drains a 3.
Wemby a little lazy with the defense here, bites on the pump fake a little, and then just doesn't get back in time to contest the dunk. Couple possessions later, Wemby catches it deep and just pulls it. It's cash, and the commentator hits us with an Oh mama Wembanyama. Later on, Chet helps down a little too much, leaving Wemby, who knocks it down again. Then Chet tries to make up for it, goes for the ISO on Wemby, but again, just candy for my baby. Chet falls on his ass. And then this one really turns for our lanky fellow as Vassell drives in and finishes on him, and then daggers the game by yamming all over him. And you know Wemby's hype. Clock runs out, and the doo-doo Spurs steal one from the OKC Thunder. 132-118, Wembanyama plays better than Chet in every single way. More points, more rebounds, more assists, more steals, more blocks. Yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. And I know I said I'm going to be unbiased in this one. A lot of people have been telling me, oh, you're a Thunder hater. Oh, you hate the Thunder. And to that, I would just say, I do. And that concludes their rookie year matchup. Thunder win 2 out of 3, but Wemby plays better than Chet in every single game. In their second season, they only play 1 game, and considering how we're seeing Harrison Barnes on the cover for the Spurs, we know this is not going to be Wemby's best performance. It's actually his worst performance in his entire career against Chet. Yeah, Wemby goes for the alley-oop, Chet gets back fast enough to block it, then he blocks Sohan, then Dort gets the steal, and Chet hits him on the outlet. Wemby grabs an offensive rebound off the miss and gets it to go over Dort and Chet. Dort drives and kicks it out to Chet. Wemby does his fake pump fake contest and Chet knocks it down. Chet mistakes Sohan for Vince Carter and throws a wild alley-oop. Chet steals it, gets it up to Williams, who gets it to Dort, who knocks down a 3. Not much else really goes on between Wemby and Chet. Thunder go on to win by 12. Chet has 19-5-2. Wemby 6-8-2. Clearly a win for Chet here. The first game I'd probably give to Wemby, but if you want to call that one even, that gives Wemby 2 games where he played better, Chet 1 game, and 1 draw. Moving on to this year's matchups. The first of which comes in the semifinals of the Emirates NBA Cup. Chet on Wemby tries to ISO and give him a couple moves. Wemby is not having it. Barnes gets it to Wemby over Cason Wallace. Chet comes to help. Wemby shoots a double red falling down 2K shot but still cashes. Off the inbound, Wemby gets behind Chet and catches the oop from Castle. Spurs up 3 foul Chet and send him to the line. Chet doinks the first free throw and Wemby does the Pat Bev celebration.
There's a new NBA champion. The first 2 kids again. When that title is realized, when it's finally over, and all the work, all the sweat, all the practices, all the travel ends up with what they all set out for as their #1 and only goal. Such an emotional time. The respect from those 2, so much more ahead in the celebration, the trophy presentation, the naming of the finals MVP. It's all ahead.
Nobody believes. Weak ass Clippers. Beat they motherfucking ass. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
Other end, they get it to Wemby. Chet almost gets the steal, but then he's forced to foul. Wemby hits 1, doinks the second, and then they go back and forth fouling each other, but the Spurs end up winning. 109-111, Wemby outplays Chet in every single statistical category, despite playing 9 less minutes. So yeah, another one for Wemby. Moving on. Next game comes 2 days before Christmas, December 23rd. Wemby slips the screen, steps through, and a guy that's 7'4" should not be able to do the Kyrie Irving switcheroo finish. Next, Harper gets it to Wemby in the post. Chet and Kayson look like they're about to double him, but Wemby hits this drop step and they both forget about him, leading to a wide open jumper. The Spurs got some clean jerseys on, and I think that's what gave Kornet the inspiration to catch this alley-oop and yam it all over Chet. Spurs go on to win by 20, and Wemby does his Mongolian war drum celebration. 130 to 120. Wemby has the slightly better game, although neither played great. It is Christmas Day, and Victor gets things going with the and-one jumper on Chet. Second quarter, Wemby misses the tap-in and then gets back too late to contest this Chet layup. Wiggins jacks a 3, Chet gets the rebound and just yams it back in. In the end, the Thunder are not able to steal our Christmas joy, and Santa Claus sends the Spurs home with a win. 117 to 102, 10-12 and 2 for Chet, 19-11 and 2 for Wemby. It's Coast to Coast Tuesday. Wemby grabs it just a step inside of the three-point line, drives in on Chet, rips through, and just yams it on him. Then Wemby catches it, pump fakes, give and go with Castle, who oops it to him, and Wemby once again punishes Chet's backside. A little bit later, Wemby drives in, spins, gets it over him with the left hand. Wemby drives in hard again, but Chet gives him a little bump that sends him into the stanchion. Second half, Wemby gets it in the post against Jalen Williams, spins into Chet, and just finishes like neither of them exist. A bit later, Shea gets Champagny on the pump fake, creates some space, and lobs it up to Chet for the dunk. Coast to Coast Tuesday goes to the Thunder, who steal their final matchup against the Spurs, making them 1-3 against San Antonio on the season. 119-98 Thunder. Chet pretty much disappears in this game. He gets 6 of his 8 points from the free throw line, while Wemby goes for 17, 7, and 1. And now we have the NBA Western Conference Finals. If you think things were bad for Chet so far, it's nowhere near where we're going now. Game 1 starts off with Wemby crashing the offensive glass, couple taps until he finally gets it to go. Wemby on the glass again off the Keldon Johnson miss, gets the putback over Chet. Wemby slips the screen, Castle finds him, all in one motion, dunks on Shea and Chet. On the other end, Wemby sinks in too deep. He tries to close out with the Kornet contest, but Chet knocks it down. Wemby catches it mid-post, fights through the double team, puts a shoulder into Chet, and finishes. A couple plays later, Vassell drives, gets it up to Wemby, who finishes one-handed. 15 seconds left, tie game. Wemby drives in, spins, and gets the push shot to go. 2 seconds left, tie game. The inbound goes to Wemby. Wallace with great hands to knock it down and gives Chet just enough time to recover and block the shot. We go to OT. The Thunder string together a couple good plays. Paycom is rocking, and Wemby, with just one of the greatest silencers of all time, pulls from about 35 feet and drains it to tie the game. Double OT, top of the key, Wemby gets it, drives in, rips through, and finishes. Spurs up 1 with a minute left. Wemby catches it in the post on Caruso, spins, and just posterizes Chet Holmgren, and the Spurs go on to win. 122 to 115, and in the Victor Chet matchup, Chet goes for 8 and 8, 0 assists. Wemby goes for 41, 24 and 3, and one of the greatest shots we've ever seen. So game 2, Spurs down 4. This is technically a Wemby assist, so I included this, the Stephon Castle poster, just nasty, looking like prime D-Rose. Then we get the Caruso oop to Chet, who cuts backdoor and dunks behind Wemby. And that was it for game 2. Not a lot of Wemby-Chet interactions. Thunder go on to win 122 to 113, but once again, every single statistical category is dominated by Wembanyama. 13, 4, and 2 for Chet, 21, 17, and 6 for Wemby. So the matchup is getting a little lopsided in favor of Wemby here, but it's not over yet. We still have 5 more games to go, and who knows what could happen? No one knows what could happen in these next 5 games. Chet could average 40. So let's move on to game 3. So I don't know if I just never noticed this before, but when I loaded up the game 3 thumbnail, how high is Shea in this picture? Shea is on a different dimension, bro. He looks like he's on Wemby's home planet right now. Was that always his picture? Like, did he always have that same one? Because he's obliterated. And then Wemby on the other side, just clarity of thought, just clear focus, Shaolin monk meditation, he's hearing the birds chirping outside, he's feeling the wind on every pore of his skin. He's ready for battle.
God chose me for this fight. God is the teacher, Derek is the student, and I am God's instrument. When I squeeze your lungs, Derek, and you beg me for life, then your heart will open up to the Lord.
They were 17.
Again, the commentator here mentions the Wemby-Chet matchup, talking about they've been going at it since they were 17. It's just not fair. Like, I know Chet didn't want this, but I guess just because their style of play was similar enough, Chet missed his rookie year, so they were both in the Rookie of the Year competition at the same time. I don't know. I don't know who created this matchup, but whoever you are, you're a sick dude. The Chet-Wemby matchup is like throwing a puppy in with like the Terminator or like the Predator or something. Like, it's not close. It's not fair. Wemby is competing with the best players in the world. He's in the category of Giannis, Jokic, Luka. Chet is in the category of, well, we'll save that little spoiler for the end, but whatever. Let's just move on.
My name is Cherry Bomb, and I fight for all the single moms out there that don't get the respect they deserve.
Let's do this! I am dangerous!
Wemby drives in on Chet here. He drops the ball, which leads to a fast break that McCain caps off with a layup. Towards the end of the third, Wemby drives in on Chet, takes the bump, and converts the and one on this fall-away floater shot. Middle of the fourth, Wemby catches it on Chet, a step inside the right wing. As he turns, Jalen Williams comes to help, and he pops the midi. Yeah, Thunder go on to win this one. This one was a heartbreaker, especially because the Spurs started off 15-0. I thought they were going to win by 40, and for the Thunder to come back and win, no Jalen Williams in San Antonio, but luckily the showrunner cleaned things up, and we got a much better season finale. 123-108 Thunder. Chet again goes for 14-3-1. Wemby 26-4-3. Not close. Not close. So very beginning of the game, Chet drives in hard on Wemby, trying to get a poster of his own. Wemby rejects it. Chet gets it back and finishes, but not in time to beat the shot clock. End of the first, Wemby swats Wiggins, but Chet is active on the glass and gets the putback. End of the second now, Wallace drives in. His layup falls off the rim, and Chet gets the little tap in. Couple plays later, Wemby catches it top of the key, and when he pump fakes, I've never seen a dude leave his feet like this. Chet is suspended in midair, and then he drives in past him and does like a move that only Wemby can do. A move that you do when you're playing with your little brother in the backyard. You just throw it up at the rim and then go get it yourself and just toss it back in. Not something you should be doing in game 4 of the NBA Finals, but Wemby does it. Just a few plays later, the Wemby half-court shot. Had to include it. Doesn't really involve Chet. Just too good not to have in here. And then this time we get the actual result that we should have had last game. Spurs win by 30. 103-82. Chet goes for a massive 10-9-2, while Wemby goes for 33-8-5. Early on game 5, Chet and Hartenstein get a little combined rebound. Chet gets the turnaround to go on Vassell. He goes for another one. Wemby swats it. Middle of the third, Caruso-Chet pick and roll. Weird type of pass here. Chet grabs it, gets it to go on Wemby. Middle of the fourth, Fox drives in hard with his right hand. His layup misses. Wemby's active on the glass and gets the follow-up shot. Thunder go on to win by 13. 127-114. Chet 16-11. Wemby 20-6. Wemby shot pretty bad this game. I don't know. This is one of the closer matchups. I mean, Wemby won in all of the other stats, and he also had a lot more free throws. So maybe you give this one to Chet. I don't know. I don't know how you feel. Let me know. Start of the second, Wemby catches it top of the three-point line and puts Chet into the spin cycle, finishes over him with the left hand. Start of the third now, Wemby's trying to box out Hartenstein. Chet gets a little backdoor slip in and gets the putback. I feel like he could have done a lot more of this. Wemby was struggling enough as the only real big man. I feel like if Chet was just a little more aggressive, he could have got a lot more of these. End of the third, Wemby goes to help on Isaiah Joe, who has a nice dump off pass to Chet, who finishes with the left. 10 seconds left in the third, Wemby goes for the ISO on Chet. Kenrich comes in and helps long enough for Wemby to have to adjust his shot, giving Chet the block. On the other end, Chet goes for the buzzer beater on Wemby, who erases his hopes and dreams. Spurs go on to win this one, 118-91, Chet with 10-11. Wemby with 28 and 10. Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, Wemby catches the ball beyond the three-point line, drives in on Hartenstein, discards him, and hits the shot over Chet. Same position, same defender, right wing, Wemby cooking on Hartenstein, a little give and go with Fox, and punishes Chet at the rim. The only couple Wemby-Chet interactions, but as we know, the Spurs go on to win 111-103. Chet puts up a humongous 4-4. That's not no normal 4-4. Those are strong 4-4s. Wemby 22-7-2. 7 years of matchups, all the way from the U19 World Cup to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Wemby 8 wins, Chet 7, 4 in the playoffs, 3 for Chet, and we got the overall player averages 12-7-2 with a block for Chet, 22-10-3 with 3 blocks for Wemby. The game highs 23 for Chet, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 41-24-7 for Wemby. Games with better stats than the other players, Wemby 13 times he had more points, 10 times more rebounds, 10 times more assists, 8 times more steals, 11 times more blocks. I never understood why this was a conversation, but it's officially over. These guys are not on the same tier whatsoever. There's no argument that could be made for it. The only thing Chet had was the wins, and he doesn't even have that anymore. Stats-wise and game high-wise, Wemby has doubled Chet in almost every statistical category. This is over. I mean, I get it for some reason, some evil guy who hated Chet linked them for their careers. It's over now. It's over. And then just for my own theories, I went back and did the 3-player comparison, the comparison comparison of the three giants, I've got Wemby, Chet, and Ayton here, and the numbers don't lie. You know, they say men lie, they say women lie, they say the numbers don't lie. The numbers are very truthful. Although the numbers can lie sometimes. You know, sometimes the numbers are, you gotta have the eye test to go with it. But in this case, I don't believe the numbers are lying. What Chet needs is 40 to 50 pounds of muscle. Chet is like 7'3", 210. 210 is what 5'11" Eric Bledsoe used to weigh. That is not a weight that a guy that's that size should be. It looks unhealthy. He looks sickly. And Wemby doesn't weigh a ton for his size, but he looks healthy. He has muscle. He's around 250. So he's cut like 40 pounds on Chet. Unless Chet gets on the Paul George ketamine steroids, there's no way. There's no way this will ever be close. A little DLC segment here. The Knicks just beat the Spurs in game 1. I don't have a ton of takeaways. Brunson's a dog. You know, he was fighting through a couple injuries. He came back in the second half, had a good game. Cat was good. There was a couple plays where he took Wemby to the rim where it just looked like Wemby was tired. And then to further that, he probably had the worst game of his career on offense, 6 of 21. The Spurs looked beat. You know, they were chucking threes, settling for bad shots. Fox played like buns. It just seemed like, it reminded me of the Cavs in Knicks game, where the Cavs came out hot like the Spurs did. You know, there was chances where Spurs could have won this game, and then towards the end, they kind of fell apart. Not as bad as the Cavs did, 20 points in 7 minutes, but they just didn't have enough. And it was the same type of thing where the Cavs are coming off this grueling 7-game series against the Pistons, while the Knicks have had just weeks of rest. And then same for the Spurs coming off the Thunder series. The Knicks are coming off another sweep where they've just been drinking pina coladas for the past 14 days. And the Spurs have just been in the jungles of Vietnam. Even Champagne, who came out super hot, looking like prime Ray Allen, he fell apart a little in the second half. No one really had it for the Spurs. They really did look gassed on offense and defense. On offense, settling for bad shots, playing with low energy, and then on defense, Wemby getting blown by Cat. Like, that shouldn't happen. I don't know. It's a little spooky. It's a little spooky seeing how gassed the Spurs looked. I hope we get a good series. I don't want them to just get run into the ground just because they have no energy. But again, Knicks played well. Brunson played well. He fought through. His knee was bleeding or something. Excited to see where it goes. Hopefully we just get a good series. But yeah, that's about it.